Hey, welcome back to Beard Squid. In this series of videos, we're going to be doing quick math. So we're going to start off with percentages coming up. So the main idea then is when we're dealing with percentages, it's really useful to find out 100%, 50%, 25%, 10% and 1% for any given number. So let's start off with an example and find 40% of £90. So we know that 100% of £90 is £90. Half of that, which is 50%, is £45. And then 25%, which is either a quarter of 100 or half of 50, which will give us £22.50. 10% is really easy. So if we move the decimal place once to the left, we'll get £9. And then 1% would be moving the decimal place again to get 90p. So 40% of £90 would be 10% times 4, or in this case £9 times 4, which is £36. So that's the top tip. Always try to figure out 100, 50, 25, 10 and 1% of any given number in order to very quickly do the calculation in your head. Now let's run through a couple of examples. So let's do 15% of 620. So remember here the top tips. Well, what we need then is we need 10% of the number and 5% of the number. So 10% of 620, remember we just moved the decimal place once to the left, which will give us 62. And then 5% would be a half of 10, which would be 31. So 15% would be 10% plus the 5%, which in this case is 62 plus the 31, which will give us a total of 93. So 15% of 620 is 93. Now we can do that quickly in our heads because the top tip is that we're dividing 15% into 10% and 5%, which are both really easy to figure out. Let's move on to another one, 12% of 54. I bet you can do this within 10 seconds anyway. So the top tip here is we're going to try to work out 10% and 1% of 54. So again, 10% is just moving the decimal place once to the left, which will give us 5.4. And 1%, again, if we move the decimal again to the left, which will give us 0.54. And so 12% would be 10% plus 1% plus 1%, which will be 5.4 plus 0.54 plus 0.54, which gives us a total of 6.48. So although 6.48 seems like a very difficult solution, if you break it down into 10% and 1%, it's actually quite easy to just do that addition. And even if you needed a bit of scratch paper to work that out, it's a lot easier than actually working at 12% of 54. So 12% of 54 gives us 6.48. So let's do another example, 26% of 88. So the top tip here then would be to work out 25% and 1% of 88. Now it's quite helpful to work out what 50% is and to work out what 10% is. So if I've got 88, half of 88, which is 50%, is 44. And then a half of 44 would give us 25%, which in this case is 22. 10% is always a quick one to do. You just move the decimal once to the left, which gives us 8.8. And then the 1% would be to move the decimal again to the left one place, which will give us 0.88. So what we're going to do in this example then is we're going to do 25% plus the 1%, which is 22 plus the 0.88. Now another top tip, when you're doing the addition, make sure you place the digits under the correct place value. That way when you do the addition, you're not going to make any silly mistakes. So 26% of 88 is 22.88. So let's do a quick fire question then. You've got 10 seconds to work this out. 45% of 400. Okay, so let's work this out then. I've done 50% of 400, which is 200, and then I minus 5%, which is 20. So if I do that subtraction, I get 180. So therefore the answer, 45% of 400 is 180. So give yourself a pat on the back if you got that right. Let's do another one. Okay, you got another 10 seconds on the clock. 22.5% of 1,520. Okay, so I've done 10% plus 12.5%. 10% is 152 because I moved the decimal place one step to the left. 12.5% is actually 25% divided by 2. So I know that 25% is a quarter of 1,520, which is 380. 12.5% is actually 25% divided by 2, which is 190. And so if I add those two together, I get 342. Now that was a bit of a tricky one. So if you didn't get the answer in 10 seconds, remember, practice makes perfect. If you like this series on quick math, drop me a like and let me know in the comment section below. As always, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.